Welcome to our channel. Today we will bring you the most exciting developments of the movie. Just a seemingly harmless DNA test, within the framework of a charity program to help connect lost people, caused Kat's entire world to collapse in an instant. She did not expect that she would be the one to receive the biggest shock from that inherently humane activity. When the result letter was sent back, Kat opened it with a faint smile, without any precautions. But the cold words inside tore apart everything she believed in for more than 20 years of her life. Kat was not the biological child of Ted, the father she always respected. The man who led her through many cold winters, the man who taught her to love, to fight, and also the man Kat had never doubted even once. At first, Kat did not believe the results. She tried to find excuses for the lab's possible mistake. But after 2 independent tests, the same conclusion was confirmed: there was no blood relationship between her and Ted. Every layer of belief crumbled. A cold feeling penetrated every cell. Kat did not cry. She no longer had the strength to cry. A terrible emptiness was slowly swallowing her mind. If she was not Ted's child, then who was she? And who was the one who carried the real blood flowing through her? Doubt began to creep into Kat's thoughts about her mother, Nicole. She was a gentle woman who always kept secrets hidden behind a sweet shell. Nicole always made everyone believe that her family was perfect, that the love between her and Ted was unbreakable. But now, in Kat's eyes, her mother was becoming a suspicious mystery. Had Nicole known all along? Was she the only one who had kept this secret and deliberately hid it as if covering up an unforgivable sin? Kat began her journey to find the truth like a person lost in a maze with no way out. She rummaged through every old photo in the attic, every forgotten medical record, every piece of handwritten letter that had yellowed over the years. Every night, she sat alone in her room, reading her childhood diary, trying to find any clue that could lead her to the answer. But the deeper she dug, the more obscure everything became. Nicole's silence only made Kat seethe more. She decided to face it. Nicole did not deny it, but did not explain either. Her eyes when looking at Kat were heavy with regret, but she tried to avoid all questions. She only whispered, "The truth is not always good for you." That made Kat even more furious. She needed the truth. She had a right to know. And if Nicole wouldn't give her answers, she would find them herself. She turned to people who had known her family before she was born, her mother's old classmates, her old neighbors, her maternal relatives. Each story, each memory, was revealed like a brick removed from a wall of secrets. And then, one name appeared again and again: Daniel. A man who had been Nicole's best friend had suddenly left town shortly after Kat was born. No one knew why, and no one had heard from him in more than 20 years. Kat had a hunch that Daniel was the key to it all. She set out on a journey to track him down, a journey that was long, complicated, and full of obstacles. She faces disapproval from those she loves, threats from those who want to stop her, and even doubts about herself. Is she going too far, digging up things that should be left to lie forever? But Kat doesn't stop. Her curiosity has surpassed her fear. She wants to know the truth about her origins, no matter how dark. She can't live a borrowed life, based on a story made up by those she once loved most. And then, after months of searching, Kat finds a faint trail leading to a small bee farm in the north. There, she meets a quiet man, living in seclusion in the wild. His face is deeply lined, but his eyes, they take Kat by surprise. They are a reflection of her own. No tests, no confirmation. Kat knew she had found her biological father. Daniel didn't reject her, but the story he told her left Kat breathless. A forbidden love affair between him and Nicole. A secret kept hidden for the sake of family honor, a cruel trade-off when Nicole was forced to choose between 2 men. She had chosen Ted for stability, for safety. And Daniel had left, carrying a broken heart and a promise to never destroy the world Nicole had tried to build for her daughter. Kat returns from that meeting with mixed feelings. She doesn't know whether to love or hate Nicole anymore. But at least now, she knows who she is, where she comes from, and why everything happened like that. However, that's not the end. When the truth is revealed, the ghosts of the past begin to return. Kat discovers that she has a half-brother, a man who has been involved in many unsolved missing cases. And it's very possible that her appearance has awakened that monster once again. From the journey to find her identity, Kat is accidentally drawn into a spiral of death and dark mysteries that have never been revealed. After learning that Daniel is her biological father, Kat thought that the journey to find her identity had come to an end. But no, that was just the first gate that opened into another maze, darker, more dangerous, and without a map. In their last conversation before parting, Daniel dropped a sentence that hit Kat like a bucket of cold water: "You are not my only child." At first, she thought it was just a small detail, a side note. But when Kat pressed further, Daniel remained silent, only mentioning his half-brother as a part of the past he never wanted to face. A look of fear crossed Daniel's face, an emotion that had not been there during Kat's time with him. It was something she couldn't ignore. She knew something serious had happened. Kat returned to town, carrying a new sense of uncertainty. She began to search the records, looking for clues about Daniel's first son, who had disappeared from the civil records at the age of 15. Everything about this person had been erased, or deliberately buried. No one in town remembered the name Jonas. Even those who had lived next door to Daniel did not know that Daniel had a son. This silence was not normal. Kat could clearly feel a thick layer of fog covering the truth. She went to find an old friend of Ted's, Mr. Graham, who had been the town's police chief for more than 3 decades. When Kat mentioned Jonas's name, Graham froze. After a moment of hesitation, he handed Kat an old envelope, containing a copy of a file that had been marked top secret. Inside was a picture of a skinny boy with dark eyes, with a note: "Exhibited deviant behavior. Involved in the disappearance of a classmate, 1998. Insufficient evidence to prosecute." Kat read each line with trembling hands. Jonas was an uncontrollable child, growing up with irrational anger and suppressed loneliness. When Nicole decided to break up with Daniel and be with Ted, she also secretly helped Daniel send Jonas to a special boarding school, under the pretext of behavioral correction. But a year later, the boy disappeared. No one knew where Jonas went, whether he was alive or dead. And from then on, all information about him was removed from the system, as if Jonas had never existed. But now, faint evidence began to show that Jonas was still alive. His name appeared in an old news report in another town, more than 200 miles away from where Kat lived. A warehouse fire killed 3 people, but the killer was never found. The only witness, a surviving girl, kept repeating the name Jonas. The police thought it was just a hallucination of the shocked victim. The case was forgotten. Kat begins to understand that she is not just a victim of a hidden family secret. She is the key to unlocking a dark truth, buried because it is too dangerous to expose. And now, something is following her, haunting her every move. The little signs repeat themselves. The phone rings in the middle of the night but no one answers. Old photos in her room are turned upside down. Her window is suddenly flung open during a storm. Kat is no longer sure what is real. During a sleepless night, she sees a figure standing silently across the street, staring straight at her house. Although she cannot see his face, the tall, thin figure resembles the image Jonas has in his profile. When Kat rushes outside, the figure is gone. She lives in a state of extreme stress. The truth was no longer something she craved, but something she feared. Everyone around her seemed to be under threat, falling into panic attacks, having accidents, or disappearing without a trace. Nicole was finally forced to tell everything. Through tears, she recounted how she had tried to hide Jonas's existence for fear that the child would harm Kat. The day Jonas was admitted to the facility, experts had warned him that he was prone to psychological disorders due to childhood trauma. Nicole and Daniel were helpless. When Jonas disappeared, they had agreed never to speak of it again. But now Jonas was back. And this time, his goal was not just to destroy Nicole or Daniel. It was Kat, the sister who had never known him. Kat knew she couldn't run. She began to protect herself. She learned how to use weapons, lock her windows, change her locks, hire someone to follow her. But no matter what she did, she felt like she was being hunted. One night, while checking the surveillance cameras, she saw Jonas standing right in front of her house, looking straight into the lens. In his hand was a wooden mask with her name engraved on it. Behind him was a mannequin of herself hanging from a tree. Things got worse when Ted, her adoptive father who had been with her all her life, got into a serious accident right in front of her house. His car brakes cut out. Kat realized that Jonas was more than just a ghost from the past. He was the embodiment of unredeemed sins, the resurgence of everything her family had tried to hide. With no other choice, Kat decided to go to Jonas. A meeting in an abandoned church, his hideout for years. There, Jonas tells Kat about the pain of abandonment, isolation in the dark, and destructive hatred. But instead of killing her, Jonas makes her a proposal: "You are the only one who can give me my identity. Together, we will make all those who abandoned me pay." Kat is faced with a final choice. Will she betray her morals to save her life, or will she turn against her only biological brother who became a monster because his family pushed him away from the light? Either choice carries a price, not only for her, but for those she loves.